Hello and welcome to Clerk of Court Live. My name is Joyce Martinez. I am the Assistant Chief Deputy Clerk for Civil Division for the Honorable Dorothy Brown, Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County, and I will be your host this evening. You may view Clerk of Court Live on CAN TV, Channel 21, or on cantv.org/hotline. This is a live call-in show, and we welcome questions and comments from the audience. The number is 312-738-1060, so feel free to call in. Please note the contact information. Clerk of Court of Cook County, and we're headquartered in the Daily Center at 50 West Washington with other locations throughout Cook County. Our telephone number is 312-603-5031, and our website is cookcountyclerkofcourt.org. Today I'm happy to introduce this week's guest, Mr. Gary Smith, who is the manager of the Criminal Department, who will share information about the preparation specifically for adults for the 2018 Second Chance Expungement Summit that will be held at Kennedy King College, Saturday, June 2nd. Mr. Gary Smith.
Hi, Joyce. How you doing?
I'm very pleased to be here. I'm doing well. Tell the audience about the 2018 Second Chance Expungement, please.
Well, Joyce, as a branch court manager for the Clerk of the Circuit Court, our criminal division, and throughout the Clerk of the Circuit Court's office, we're very excited about our upcoming 14th Annual Expungement Summit in Cook County. And you asking me what exactly is the Expungement Summit that's coming up on June 2nd, 2018. Is going to be held at Kennedy King College at 63rd and Halsted. It's a very dynamic event. It's a countywide event that we're having, and we're holding it right in the heart of Chicago, in the Inglewood community. And it's one of our crowning community events that we're having at the Clerk of the Circuit Court regarding the second chance for expungement of criminal records.
What does expungement and sealing mean?
You know, that's a real good question, Joyce. A lot of people have some a clear understanding about what expungement and what sealing is. And there's some misconceptions about specifically what expungement and sealing is. Basically, expungement is the taking out of view of criminal records. Let me just start by saying that criminal records in the Clerk of the Circuit Court, they're public records that can be viewed by by private individuals. It can be viewed by companies looking to hire an individual. So with those public records, anyone can see the criminal record of Gary Smith or Joyce Martinez. They just come to the Clerk of the Circuit Court and they can request to see those records. They're on our database, our electronic database, and people can see information regarding criminal records for anyone that had a criminal case in Cook County. So what expungement attempts to do is a community service that the clerk's office does by taking those records out of public view. Okay, so once a person is eligible for an expungement or a sealing of their records, then they file a case and the judge approves the expungement or the sealing of their records, and then those records are taken out of the clerk's office database, our electronic database, and those files are taken away from public view.
Now, you mentioned that this was the 14th annual. Tell me why this year is very, very important.
Well, we're really, really excited, Joyce, about, our expungement summit that's coming up because, for a long time, expungements had to do with a narrow classification of cases that could, in fact, be expunged or sealed. Well, this year, the Illinois Supreme Court has opened up the types of cases that can, in fact, be sealed or expunged. When we first started 14 years ago, there was a narrow group of cases that could be expunged. It used to be where if you had more than one case, all of your cases had to be eligible to be expunged or none of them could be expunged. Then they opened up the classifications for sealing. In sealing, you had the ability to pick and choose criminal cases that in fact could be sealed. Now, we pretty much opened it up to where almost all cases can be expunged or sealed, and you have the option or the eligibility to pick and choose the cases that can be expunged. For example, if you had four criminal cases, and two of them were eligible to be expunged, you can go ahead and have those two cases expunged and leave those other two on your record. The same thing with sealing. You can pick and choose where, as in the past, if all four of those cases weren't eligible to be expunged, then none of them can be expunged. But now it opens it up. So, for example, when we first started doing expungement seminars, there were people who came to us, and because they had one case out of maybe 7 that weren't eligible for expungement, they weren't able to get any of their cases expunged. So people would leave frustrated because they couldn't get an expungement of all of their records. Well, they can come to the expungement summit on June 2nd, and if they have several cases, but only 5 of 7 cases are expungible, they can actually start the process of getting those 5 cases expunged from their criminal record.
So you talk about sealing a certain amount of cases. So give us an example of what would be eligible to be sealed or expunged. Like what cases are now eligible?
Well, that's a great question, Joyce, because a lot of times people come to us and they think their cases are expungible when in fact they may not be. But the types of cases now in 2018 that are eligible to be expunged are cases where the person got first of all, if they were found not guilty, and if they were found where the case was dismissed on noli pros, which is a Latin term which means that the case can be dismissed over a certain period of time, and there are various restrictions in terms of the types of cases that can be sealed and can be expunged now. But basically, cases that have been dismissed, cases that they have been found not guilty, and even cases where there's supervision, because supervision is a type of court supervision that allows a person, once they complete certain steps that have been given to the defendant by the court, once they complete the requirements of the supervision, then they'll be eligible to have that supervision expunged.
Now, I understand also some felonies are included with that?
Yes, ma'am. They've opened up, the types of cases where felonies are eligible for sealing and or for expungement of the record. So it's a real exciting time because it used to be where certain felonies were not. But, you know, a lot of non-violent, okay, felonies are now eligible for expungement or sealing of your criminal record.
Wow, that's good news. That's good news. Are there any other exceptions as to what's not sealable as far as felonies are concerned?
Well, you know, what we like for people to do is, you know, to come in, you know, get a copy of their rap sheet and bring them in to the clerk of the circuit court, our criminal department, and they can speak to an attorney, or, and before I move away from that point, they can speak to an attorney, and those attorneys are free, and they'll give them information specifically about what cases are expungible, which cases are sealable, you know, based upon the specific charge, what the judge ordered, and also any time frame or any time limits that may be required before expungement or sealing, you know, before you're eligible for sealing or expungement.
Now, what should a person bring to the expungement summit? Are there certain things that they're required to bring?
Well, you know, this is really important, Joyce, and we want to try to emphasize to anyone who would come to our expungement summit on June 2nd to get their records expunged. There are certain requirements that you must have. And this is important because a lot of people do come to our expungement summits and they're not prepared and don't have the proper materials that they need in order to receive an expungement or a sealing. But one of the most important things that we require for to be seen and, you know, to be determine whether or not you're eligible for an expungement, one of the first things that we require is your rap sheet. And a rap sheet is a list of all of the cases that you were arrested for and that you went to court on. A rap sheet, you know, is a list of any cases that you might have been arrested for by the Chicago Police Department. And you know, when a person is arrested and they are fingerprinted and their pictures are taken and they prepare an arrest report for it, those things go into a database and they have files. So what the rap sheet does is allow the person to have a list of cases that they were arrested for. And it's important for us because a lot of times people will come to us and say, well, I only have one case that I want to try to get expunged. But in fact, they may have several cases. And so what the rap sheet does is give you a list of the cases that you might have been arrested for in the city of Chicago. So that's important for us because a lot of times people say I only have one case when in fact they have more, and those cases can affect whether or not you are eligible for an expungement or a sealing.
Now, where can you get a rap sheet?
Okay, the rap sheets are obtained through the Chicago Police Department, and it's at their main headquarters, and that's at 3516 South Michigan Avenue. And you would go to their main headquarters and you get fingerprinted again, and you have to pay $16. But it thoroughly combs your record to see all of the cases in which you've been arrested for.
Now, do they also have to have any other documents?
Well, it would be helpful that once you get your rap sheet to be able to get certified dispositions, because that tells the person, like when you come to the summit, you'll see that we'll have free attorneys there to look over your paperwork and determine what happened in court. What did the judge order? You know, and specifically what's the disposition of that particular case. The rap sheet tells how many times you've been arrested. And, it may have on some of the cases whether or not you were found not guilty or whether you were convicted. But the certified dispositions that you obtain from the clerk of the circuit court, the certified disposition tells the history of that court appearance and what happened and what the judge officially ordered.
Now, what else can the audience expect at the expungement summit?
Well, a lot of people, come to get their expungements, to actually start the process, because I, want to make sure to let everyone know that when you come to the expungement summit, your record won't be expunged or sealed there at this summit. We will have attorneys there to help you fill out the paperwork, for you to start the process for getting your expungement done. And it really is, it's a process. You fill out the paperwork, we allow you to file your paperwork there at the expungement summit. But Illinois statute requires at least a 90-day hearing that occurs. Why? Because the state's attorney of Cook County has 90 days to object to your petition. If they don't object to your petition for expungement or sealing, then the judge can grant your petition and certify an order after the 90-day period, because again, the state's attorney has 90 days to object. And if they don't object, then the judge can go ahead and order it. But your question, Joyce, was what other services? And I just wanted to let you know that some people, they, start the process, but, they have under conception that, I thought I can get my record expunged, and then I would be able to just go the next day and, get a job. Well, it's not that easy. So once they file for an expungement, we have a vast resource fair. We have a number of different companies, corporations, vendors who are, giving out information and actually, talking to people about, what they may need, to have in order to get a job in various companies and corporations, in various trades. We have a number of people, who let you know that they hire individuals for second chance opportunities. So, people can go there, get their criminal record taken care of, and then also speak to a number of employers who hire people with criminal backgrounds and give people hope that there is opportunities available for people, after they get their criminal record cleared up.
Wow. Now what's the clerk's role in the expungement? I recognize that we have attorneys and all of that, but what is the clerk's office role in this?
Well, let me say that the clerk of the circuit court, Ms. Dorothy Brown, has been in the vanguard of fighting to gain access to folks clearing up their criminal records and getting a second chance. But she's also...
Oh, we have a caller on the line.
Okay, well, that's better.
Caller, what's your question?
Good evening. How you doing, Mr. Smith?
Good evening, ma'am.
How do you do this evening? My name is Paula. I have a question for you. I have a nephew that we don't call it jail, we call it college. Just got out of college not too long ago and trying to look for a job pretty much anywhere that he can. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear every word you say.
Okay. And I was wondering, do they have rights to tell us he can't have a job because he was incarcerated? Or do sometimes they maybe get a tax break? Should he just be honest on his application? What do you think?
Well, ma'am, there are a lot of companies on their job applications that ask, have you ever been convicted of a
Right.
criminal offense? Well, before you get your record expunged, you have to honestly answer that question
Right. You got to be honest.
about yes, I've been convicted. Well, if you're eligible to get your record expunged, you can say on a application for a job that you have never been convicted of once
Felony. Of a
once it's
felony.
expunged,
Right.
that you have
Right.
never been convicted, and that's so important, to be able to not have that over your
Just a minute.
head. So that's why we understand that that expungement is a vital part of a person's access, to gainful employment. Did that answer your question, ma'am?
Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us?
Oh, I'm sorry. My mother-in-law rang the doorbell.
Okay, but what we're saying, that the clerk of the circuit court, Miss Dorothy Brown, is committed to try to get every legal thing off your record and allow you the opportunity to be able to say
Right.
a employer that no, I don't have a criminal conviction on my record, and you can
So
say
it's
that
basic-
honestly.
Right. So it's basically up to the discretion of the boss if he wants to give the kid a chance or not. Yeah?
Well, it's very important, but you as someone is applying for a job can say, no, I don't have a criminal conviction, and that shouldn't be an impairment to you receiving. See, a lot of times employers can say that, well, a criminal conviction, stops you from receiving this particular job. Well, the Clerk of Circuit Court said that once you get an
gonna put this
expungement of your
dog in-
record, you can honestly say on your application that you don't have a criminal conviction. Okay. Is that okay, ma'am? So will we see you on June 2nd, 2018 at Kennedy King College? Because we look forward, to seeing anybody who's eligible for an expungement to come. You can speak to free attorneys. They will spend as much time as you need to be able to talk to you about your specific conditions and what you need to do in order to clean up your criminal record.
Thank you, caller. Gary, you were talking about having free attorneys. Are there any fees or anything involved? And if so, what are the remedies regarding that? And what's the, how do we feel about, people coming in on the Saturday, even if they don't have?
Well, all of the services that we provide on June 2nd at the Expungement Summit will be free. The legal advice, the forms. There is a filing fee, to file for an expungement or a sealing. It basically is approximately $136, with the mailing and the filing fee. Now, if a person is eligible, they have judges that will be on site. They've declared June 2nd as an official, not a holiday, I don't want to say, an official court day. So the judges can give fee waivers to anyone who's eligible. And they'll determine based upon your income if you can afford to pay the fees. If you're unable to pay the fees, you will be issued a fee waiver. And once you get the fee waiver, you can take that and the fees will be waived and you can file your petition for expungement on that day.
Okay, Mr. Gary Smith. You mentioned that this has been going on for 14 years, and I know you can answer for me. Have you ever known anybody else to offer such a service as Dorothy Brown has offered?
One of the things that, we were alluding to before the caller was that, the clerk has been, in the forefront of trying to change expungement and sealing laws. She was instrumental in initiating, along with a lot of other, people and elected officials who worked very hard in order to try to change the laws. And the clerk's office, we've been, doing overtime to go out among the people in Cook County and try to get the word out to people about our expungement summons. We understand that we have a very unique product that we provide as a service for the people. The clerk wholeheartedly, 100%, believes in second chances, and we at the Clerk of the Circuit Court will do everything we can to help people by providing, free legal services, the forms, getting people to be able to get fee waivers so they can get their records expunged and or sealed and to get a second chance in life.
Now I'm going to remind you about our contact information. We are located at 50 West Washington Street, room 1001, Chicago, Illinois 60602. We're open from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you would like to contact our office, our main number is 312-603-5031. I also want to remind you about the Expungement Summit, which is coming up on June 2nd, and the various things that you will actually need. And a couple of things that Gary mentioned was your rap sheet and your disposition sheet. So please be reminded that you must bring that. And in addition, I'd like to also remind you about mandatory e-filing, which is coming July 1st. And I want to say thank you to Gary as our guest, and thank you for visiting Clerk at Court Live. Have a wonderful day.